Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Behind the Bulletin. Today, we bring you a story that has sent shockwaves across the entire entertainment world, a breathtaking twist no one saw coming. Just days before the wedding, disaster strikes Kim Woo-bin. Shin breaks down in shock. What happened behind the scenes of their long-awaited celebration? What crisis could possibly shake a couple famed for their unbreakable bond? Stay with us as we unravel every chilling detail, every emotional moment, and every twist hiding beneath the surface, starting right now. The world believed their love story had finally reached its peaceful ending. After years of enduring illness, long-distance shoots, and silent battles behind closed doors, Kim Woo-bin and Shin were only days away from the most anticipated wedding of the year. The invitations had been delivered with quiet elegance. The venue was prepared in hushed secrecy, and close friends whispered about how deeply the couple deserved this happiness. Every detail was perfect. Every moment was filled with anticipation. And then, in a single instant, everything fell apart. Happened during what should have been a simple final rehearsal. Woo-bin stood under the warm lighting of the ceremony hall, adjusting the cuff of his suit while joking with his stylist. Al was soft, relaxed, the kind of smile he hadn't worn in years. A smile born from finally reaching the light after so much darkness. But that smile died the moment his phone buzzed. One message, one line, one sharp blow that shattered the calm around him. As he read, the color drained from his face. His hands tightened around the phone until his knuckles turned white. The stylist froze, sensing the shift in atmosphere. Woo-bin didn't speak. He simply turned away, leaving the room in heavy silence as the walls closed in on him. The wedding coordinator called after him. His footsteps faded quickly down the corridor, swallowed by an approaching storm no one else could see. Meanwhile, Shin was at a nearby photo studio finalizing her bridal concept shoot. The staff watched her with admiration, the way she moved with grace, the joy in her eyes, the soft laughter that echoed through the room. She looked like a bride who had finally been given the happiness she fought so hard for. But happiness is fragile, and fate has a cruel sense of timing. Her manager's phone rang. A brief conversation, a stiffened expression. Then he hurried to Minna, leaning close. "You need to sit," he whispered. "Something's happened." She frowned, confused, lowering the bouquet in her hands. But as soon as she heard the words, cold, heavy, unthinkable, her breath caught. The room spun. Her grip on the flowers loosened, petals scattering across the floor like pieces of a dream breaking apart. In a heartbeat, she was out the door, rushing to her car. Tears blurred her vision, her chest tightening as fear swallowed her. She didn't fully understand what had happened, only that it was bad, that it was urgent, and that it involved the man waiting to marry her in just a matter of days. At the hospital, Woo-bin sat alone in a dim examination room, shoulders tense, eyes clouded with dread. The doctor's expression had confirmed everything, an unexpected complication, a shadow where there shouldn't be one. Warning that echoed the nightmare he thought he had escaped forever. The fear was familiar, haunting, suffocating. When Minna burst through the door, her breath uneven. She stopped short at the sight of him. The distance between them felt enormous. "Is it true?" she choked out. Woo-bin looked up. Exhaustion in his eyes answered before his words did. She rushed to him, cupping his trembling hands, spilling freely. The sterile room blurred around them as they clung to each other, between past trauma and the terrifying possibility of repeating it. Outside the hospital, reporters somehow caught wind of the emergency visit. Cameras began gathering. Headlines started to brew. The news world, always hungry, sensed blood in the water. They speculated wildly, a last-minute fight, a secret health scare, a scandal brewing days before the wedding. Social media exploded with rumors, each more dramatic than the last, each one adding new pressure to an already unbearable moment. They scrambled to prepare statements. Family members called in panic. Friends texted in shock. But Woo-bin and Minna shut out the noise. They sat in the isolation of a cold hospital hallway, holding onto each other as if the world outside didn't exist. Minna, wiping her tears fiercely. "We've done this before. Survived it before. We will survive it again." But Woo-bin shook his head slowly, guilt carving deep lines into his expression. "This for us, not now, not again." As late-night darkness swept over the city, The couple remained in the hospital, waiting for more tests. Minutes felt like hours. Wedding, once so close, so certain, now felt like a distant dream slipping through their fingers. And somewhere in that suffocating stretch of time, a devastating truth formed in both their hearts. This wasn't just a setback. This was a storm powerful enough to consume everything they had built. And it was only the beginning. The night in the hospital dragged on with a heaviness that wrapped itself around every breath. Kim Woo-bin sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the floor as if the answers he needed were hidden in the cracks of the tiles. Shin Min-ah hovered beside him, refusing to sit, refusing to rest, refusing to acknowledge the exhaustion creeping into her bones. He kept watching him like he might disappear if she blinked. The silence between them was not empty, it was trembling with fear, frustration, and unspoken questions neither of them dared to voice. And the doctor finally returned with the new test results. Ah's nails dug into her palms. Woo-bin stood, steadying himself against the counter. The doctor's expression wasn't reassuring. "Poke carefully, too carefully. We can't confirm a relapse," he began. "But there are concerning signs that require immediate attention. We recommend postponing any strenuous activity, including major events." He didn't need to say the word. Wedding hung in the air like a blade. The silence that followed was suffocating. Min-ah swallowed hard to muster strength, but her voice cracked anyway. "Have to postpone, then we postpone. It's nothing compared to your health." But Woo-bin didn't respond. Stared at the floor with an expression carved from guilt and devastation. Postponing the wedding meant admitting that the illness still held power over him, that despite everything, it still had the ability to steal moments he longed to give her. Suddenly, the quiet was shattered by the sound of commotion outside the room. Reporters had somehow broken past security. Cameras flashing like lightning. Echoing through the hallway. Kim Woo-bin. Is the wedding cancelled? Shin Min-ah. Rumors true. Is his illness returning? The intrusion was violent, cruel. Min-ah rushed to close the door, with anger and disbelief. For years they had lived their relationship quietly, respectfully, shielding each other from unnecessary attention, but now, at their most fragile moment, the world refused to look away. Security forced the reporters out, but the damage was done. News outlets exploded with breaking headlines within minutes. Fans panicked. Articles speculated wildly. Claimed Woo-bin had collapsed. Others said Min-ah had called off the wedding in tears. Their agencies could barely keep up with the spreading chaos erupting online. Amid all this, Woo-bin finally spoke, his voice low, strained. "Maybe we shouldn't get married right now." Min-ah felt the words like a punch to the chest. "What are you saying?" she whispered, breath trembling. "You think a diagnosis, a possibility, is enough to stop us?" Woo-bin shook his head, eyes shining with unshed tears. "I don't want to trap you in another fight you didn't choose. I don't want you crying again because of me." Min-ah grabbed his hands, her grip fierce, desperate. "I choose you," she said, voice breaking. "Wedding or no wedding, diagnosis or no diagnosis, I choose you." Tears finally spilled, one after another, on the back of his hand like warm raindrops. Woo-bin looked up, and for the first time since the nightmare began, his resolve wavered. But before they could continue, alert lit up Min-ah's phone. A news outlet had published leaked medical information, speculative, invasive, unethical. Claimed Woo-bin's illness had returned aggressively, completely unconfirmed. The headline alone was enough to send shockwaves across the country. Calls flooded in. Staff members panicked. Friends reached out. Fans cried online. The world now believed Woo-bin was facing a life-threatening relapse. Min-ah felt her knees weaken. Woo-bin closed his eyes, pain carving deep shadows across his face. It wasn't enough that they were fighting fear, now they had to fight lies too. The couple's agencies mobilized immediately, preparing legal action, crafting statements, trying to regain control. But the public had already consumed the rumor. Speculation into certainty. Worse, sponsors began reaching out, questioning whether Woo-bin could fulfill future schedules. Projects paused, contracts wavered. Pressure suffocated him from every direction. Night, Min-ah found him alone in the hospital's rooftop garden, leaning on the railing as the cold wind swept through the darkness. He approached quietly, placing a trembling hand on his back. "Don't disappear into this," she whispered. "You promised me we'd walk through anything together." Woo Bin turned, eyes shining with a mixture of heartbreak and fierce love. "I'm scared," he admitted, voice raw. "Of being sick, but of hurting you again." I pressed her forehead to his, tears slipping silently down her cheeks. "Then let me be scared with you." And in that quiet moment, with the city lights flickering below like distant stars, they made a decision, not to cancel the wedding, not to ignore the danger, but to face whatever came next as one. As victims of fate, but as survivors of it. Even as they embraced, a message arrived on Woo Bin's phone, a message that would push the story into an entirely new storm. A message that said, "Something you need to know. This wasn't an accident." And with that, the true disaster began to reveal itself. In the days that followed, the couple faced the storm with a quiet determination. The leaked rumors, speculative headlines, the fear pressing in from every angle, none of it broke them. Instead, it forced them to stand closer, to hold tighter. Recognize once again that love is not built in moments of comfort, but in moments of crisis. Kim Woo Bin continued his examinations, surrounded by doctors he trusted, while Shin remained beside him through every sleepless night and every anxious dawn. The message claiming the disaster wasn't an accident was later traced to a disgruntled former staff member, someone who had attempted to profit off fear and fame, feeding the media with false leads and confidential hints. The truth emerged. The story shifted dramatically. Public outrage rose. Press apologies followed. Whirlwind finally began to settle. Through it all, Woo Bin and Min never wavered in their decision. Wedding wouldn't be cancelled. It would simply be postponed, not because the storm defeated them, because they chose to face it together. Hand, step by step, without rushing what mattered most, his health, their peace, their future. When the couple finally stepped out of the hospital, cameras captured not two broken people but two survivors, walking slowly, fingers intertwined, eyes steady, carrying a strength forged from everything they had endured. Their journey had not gone as planned, but perhaps that was the point. Happiness isn't found in perfection, it's found in resilience. Thank you for staying with us through this emotional and dramatic journey. From the first shattered moment to the quiet triumph that followed. Your time, your trust, support mean everything. Please continue following Behind the Bulletin for more deep dives, shocking turning points, and the stories behind the headlines. See you again in the next chapter.